You're listening to the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast, and I'm Lou Temlett. I'm guessing you're having a good day because either you've been on the mats, considering getting on the mats, or maybe you're packing your family up to take them to Thailand. I'm so happy you're here listening or watching this episode. Please don't tap out before the end. When you want a bit of a scrap, start training Jiu Jitsu. I'd like to welcome Julia Scardone Livesey to my podcast. Hi Julia, how are you?
Hi, I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. A weekend filled with training jiu-jitsu, so I'm on a high today. Thank you so much for joining me. When I first started training jiu-jitsu, you were one of the first names that kind of cropped up on my social feed as someone to kind of watch and observe on their journey. And I know it's taken about a year for me to secure this interview, and I'm really pleased you're here. It's all good. It's all good. But, you know, you are incredibly inspirational. I'm going to put that out there. There are so many women that follow your journey and see you as an icon in the art of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but not just Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, in Judo as well. So tell me a bit about how you started out with Judo and kind of the progression onto Jiu Jitsu.
Thank you so much for everything that you said. That's really, really kind, and that's lovely. And I'm sorry it's taking such a long time.
You're forgiven.
My organisation skills are awful. I started judo when I was 5 years old, back in Brazil, and I literally started it because I was a bit of a naughty kid. So my mum and dad needed some help with that. My older brother was already in the sport. So they kind of just put me in that as well. And then it helped me with my education in Brazil as well, because I was kind of like a sponsored athlete for my school. So it kind of kept me in the sport for a long time. And then when I moved to the UK, when I was about 13, 14, I just kind of carried on doing it. And I kept doing it until I was about, I think I retired officially when I was about 27, 28. Okay. So I've done it my whole life. And then when I retired from judo, I kind of still fancied to have a bit of a scrap. So we kind of thought, why not? Let's try to do some Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So yeah, that's how it all started, and that's how it ended.
That's and it's still continuing.
Yeah,
So starting Brazilian Jiu Jitsu from nothing, or from judo background at 27, and progressing to where you are now, and you've just been promoted to a brown belt, so congratulations on your recent promotion. How was the transition for you from judo to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu? How did you find the difference for you as an individual?
So when we did judo full time at Camberley Judo Club, part of our program we had to do one Brazilian Jiu Jitsu class a week. So when I say that I only started at 27, I did do a little bit of it before when I did judo as well. But my main focus was judo, obviously, at the time. So if they were teaching things like leg locks and stuff like that, because we don't have them in judo, I was kind of like, I don't need that. I'm a judo fighter, which I deeply regretted when I started doing jiu-jitsu. But so I have done it before. But the transition of it, you know, when I first started it, I kind of just took it as judo. I would throw people. I'd turn my back on people all the time. I'd like go into turtle and kind of wait for the referee to call it stop to stand us back up, except they don't. So I kind of like, for the first year, I think I was just judoing my way through it. Okay. And then that's when my partner was kind of like, Ju, you know, you can't do that. It's two completely different sports. And he's a lot better than me at, you know, studying the sport and stuff. So he did a lot more of the studying part, and he would always tell me, like, you've made that mistake again. And in judo, it's all right because the referee would call it stop, but in jiu-jitsu, you get punished for that. If you throw people like that and land in that position, you're going to get choked. I went out there and got choked. If you leave your arm out like that, you're going to get armbarred. I got armbarred. So my transition to jiu-jitsu was going out, competing, losing, learning the lesson, going out competing, losing, learning the lesson. Whereas my partner was a lot more clever than me, and he studied it so much more that he transitioned into it in such a more clever way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I kind of learned and transitioned. It was just losing and then going, all right, I can't do that in BJJ because it doesn't work.
Okay, I like the fact that you were using your judo techniques and assuming that the ref would kind of, reset you. And some of us kind of end up in turtle and stay there and just pray that we don't get choked, just generally. But how did it feel losing all of those matches? Because part of me thinks that with your judo, you may well have won lots of competitions, and then suddenly going into a position in losing when actually you might feel like your ability is good.
Do you know what? Losing for me has never been an issue because I've competed. I've started competing when I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
So, and in Brazil, fighting is very popular. So there's so many competitions and they're practically free. So our judo club used to have a minibus, and they used to take us every single weekend to a different competition in a different part of the country. So, and then when I moved to the UK, I was competing back to back all the time, higher level competitions as well. So because I've competed so much my whole life, and that comes with losing as well. I've won a lot. I've also lost a lot. So for me, losing isn't the issue. For me, what bothered me, it was when I used to lose for silly mistakes that I hadn't taken my time to adapt to myself to a new sport yet. So, for example, in judo, you turn your back to throw people quite a lot. And I would turn my back, I'd throw someone, but I would land in a position that they could just easily take my back. So, I would have done this amazing throw that in my head I thought I smashed it, I won, because you would have in judo. It doesn't mean anything in BJJ. No one gives a fuck about a massive throw if you land in a position where they're going to take your back and choke you. So for me, it wasn't the losing. The losing is okay because we onwards and upwards and we learn from it.
Yeah.
Me, after I've lost them many, 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 many times, it was the frustration of myself of, why didn't you just take your time to study those positions and, listen to a person who was doing more studying than you? And so I had to drop the ego a lot because I was starting a brand new sport. And it's hard when you've been good or a professional level, whatever, at one sport your whole life, you think that you're almost entitled to being really good at another one. And that is absolutely not the case. So I got humbled down by the losses, which I really do appreciate, because you need that humbling down. I'm just not sure I should have lost as many times. It was a lot. But, we learn and we move on and we adapt. So it's fine.
It's always good for some of us to hear that, others lose a lot as well as win some. I've not managed to win any of my matches yet. And I like the fact that your experience in Brazil, your judo club had a minibus and took you to competitions that were probably free or very, very cost effective. Now, obviously, in the UK, the cost of entry for competitions is relatively high, certainly if you're going to go out and do that every weekend. And I know a number of organisations are now making that more accessible for women to have matches. But it's still a barrier when you want to progress. How has competing changed your jiu-jitsu game?
I think that competition is really important because you get to actually test out the things that you've been learning in class. I think that, when you're aspiring with your teammates, especially as a smaller woman, nothing is ever 100%. People don't, a 100-kilo guy is not going to fight me at his 100%, hopefully. He's not. We've got really good guys at our gym who they are really good with someone as small as I am. So for me, competition is where you get to test where I'm actually at in comparison to someone same gender, same weight as me, same grade as me.
Yeah.
So yeah, competition has always been very important for me to, like as a benchmark. Where am I at? Where do I need to improve? What do I need to do? And I think competitions as well get you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to improve, you have to get yourself out there. You have to compete. There's a million different excuses to why people don't compete. One of them is price, which I do think sometimes I think the price is very high, and that's quite a difficult barrier to overcome. So I do understand the cost of competitions being a barrier. But, I have heard things like, oh, my coach is not available to come with me on that day. Or, oh, I don't know, I want to lose a little bit of weight before I go and compete. And for me, those barriers are easily, they can be put aside. I think that if the coach is not available on that weekend, you still have to go for it. Put yourself in an uncomfortable position. So then when your coach does go with you, that's an extra little bonus, So competitions for me, in my opinion, are extremely, extremely important for you to improve in the sport.
I like the fact that you've kind of brought up the putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. That for me is something that I generally try to embody. Whilst I don't have the funds to be able to put myself in for competition, I will travel around the country and try and train with lots of different people. And for me, that's the next best thing. That, I kind of get the travel, I get to meet new people that I wouldn't normally have met. I went to a women's open mat yesterday. Now, in my very early days as a white belt, I felt very uncomfortable going into an all-female environment. Because of my own kind of mindset about feeling judged about my size, my weight, the way I looked, and all of those things. And actually, when you strip away all of those barriers that might make me feel uncomfortable, it's really easy to overcome those things. But you have to know that it's a thing, to have the awareness, and then put them aside and actually see the benefit of training with other women and other people that train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Now, I want to come on to your network of friends and all of the women that you have in your cohort coming up for the women's judo camps and all the other seminars, because you have quite a following and you have a very strong community of women around you. How has that helped your journey?
It's been everything really for my journey. Like, I think this Judo for BJJ camp, when I speak about it, I even get emotional because it's such an important thing that I've got in my life. And I started it because I was struggling a little bit with this community thing, and I didn't have many girls that I trained with. I hadn't made many connections with other women in the sport. It was a little bit different to judo. Judo, there is a team of women and we all train together and we go to training camps abroad together. And, me and my best friends were in the same weight category. We would be fighting for the same sort of medals, but we still would train together. So we would have these things, like we would have squad training. And even the training sessions would be separated, boys' trainings and girls' training sessions.
Yeah.
And you would get like 60, 70 women on the mat that were in the GB squad or up into the GB squad or whatever. So, and the girls were very, very competitive amongst each other. Like we were all friends, the judo community and all of the girls. We are all friends and I've known them for absolutely years and I'm in contact with almost all of them still. When you compete against each other, there is a tiny little bit of rivalry, but we also understand that a competition is a competition and whoever is better on that day is going to win. We're going to have to fight each other. So it is what it is. So there was no I don't compete with that person. I don't train with that person because we compete against each other. That wasn't a thing in judo at all.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because that, for me at the time, that was a thing. So like, if there was a girl similar weight to me, similar grades to me, we wouldn't really train together. But then I kind of thought, but how are we getting better if we don't train together? How does that work? Because, okay, we might fight each other at a local competition. That's great. But, you know, when we go to Europeans and stuff like that, you tend to fight people that are from different countries to you, or, you know, the pools are made in a way so that you don't often fight someone who are from the same country as you or whatever. And in judo, we kind of focused on that. You know, obviously we had the trials that was like, who is the number 1 UK girl, number 2, number 3, which was great. But if you're in the top 3, you're in the squad. So for us, what mattered the most was the foreign girls. We needed to beat the foreign girls. We needed to be better than them. Yeah. And the way that we were better than them, or the way that we tried to get better than them, was by training with the best in our country, right? Yeah. So we made each other better. So I kind of started like trying to do open mats and stuff like that. So I did a lot of open mats, and the vast majority of the girls that I used to get were beginners or people that had just started the sport, which for me was fine. But I was thinking, why do the high level girls, why are we not mixing? What are we doing? What's missing? And then I just started putting my opinions out there about, you know, we need to train together to be better. We need to push each other to be better. And like, I don't care if we fight each other in a competition. Like, competition day is very different to a training session. There's so many different elements to it. So why are we not training together? Anyway, very long story short, I was like, fuck this. I'm gonna start this camp where I share everything that I know. Like, there is no hiding of what I know. Like, I will show you my favorite throw, and I will correct you down to the very last point that I can help you with. And I have been asked as well, are you not, you know, scared that someone might throw you? I was like, been competing since I was 8 years old. The amount of people that have thrown me, I don't give a fuck. I just want people in general to be better. Yeah. And then I did the first camp, second camp, third camp, and then it just started growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And now we've got this insane community of women who have done judo for BJJ in the past. Some of them have been coming from first camp, and they're coming to my last camp. They've not missed a single one of them. Wow. If they've got other commitments, they'll cancel their commitments and they'll make sure that they come to the camp. And a lot of them are crazy. We have matching tattoos. It's insane. It's got way out of hand. But it's a genuine thing. Like, I want these girls to get better. I want them, you know, initially a lot of them said to me, I'm scared of throwing or getting thrown. Yeah. And I was like, absolutely fucking not. We're not having this. Let's show you that this is not scary. Let's show you the ways of doing it. So, the community, this Judo for BJJ community, I didn't mean for it to grow the way it did, but I am so glad that it has, because those girls, a lot of them have turned out to be some of my best friends, you know? Some of my bridesmaids were girls that I've met through Judo for BJJ. So, you know, these are women that I depend on my daily life to be like, listen, just quick voice note because I'm going fucking crazy here. Like, I'm having a panic attack. Help me. And these girls would just help me. So, it's a massive support network, and it's amazing. And I'm so, so glad that I had all of those little questions in my head that made me do that. So,
So you've not just built a community of women, kind of higher ranked women, as well as kind of new people in the art of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but training together, learning from the best in the sport, talking about yourself, and giving away or kind of sharing those tips so that everyone can kind of scale up and grow and just get better. I think it's really positive, and it's what all of us need to be able to do that. I've had 1 year of Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast open mat. I had a number of women that I'd never ever met before that came along, and I was just so pleased. And that's just the beginning. Whilst I don't have your experience, Julia, I will continue to hold open mats, because I think it's just getting like-minded women together, getting some kind of maybe instructional to scale up and just become even kind of better at the art of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu.
Exactly. And do you know what? There's no need for experience with it. It's just do you know what, girls? Let's get together. Let's get each other better. And that's it. It's, I think sometimes what holds women back is thinking that they might not be qualified enough to do something. And then they wait. Oh no, let me wait until I get my blue belt. Let me wait until I get my purple. Let me wait until I get this medal. Let me wait. No, you don't need to wait. If you wanna get a group of girls together, you want to train together, do it. There's no need to be experienced or qualified or none of it. So I'd encourage every girl that goes to a club to be like, do you know what? Let's do one Sunday a month where we do a women's only open mat. And
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think, just reiterating, stepping out of your comfort zone, go and do something that feels uncomfortable and difficult, and just push some of those boundaries. Like Julia's saying, put aside some of those things like waiting for a medal or a belt. Just get on and do it. What is stopping you, really? Nothing.
Exactly.
This is a Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast with me, Lou Temlett, coming to you from the UK. Not Thailand yet. Go and check out the latest video clips over on ju.jitsu.lu on Instagram. And as you're listening or watching on your favourite podcast platform, I'd really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. So, Julia, mentioning Thailand, you're packing the family up as we speak and heading off to Thailand. Tell me about that.
It's insane, isn't it? Yeah. We went on holiday one and we thought, oh, this is fucking great. And then we were like, no, we need to go and check it out again because everything is amazing on holiday. And then we went back and it was great again. The second time around, we went to visit different houses. We went to nurseries. We went to kind of do what normal people who live there would do.
Yeah.
And we loved it, And, me and Owen have moved around all of our lives. He also doesn't live where he was first born. He moved around his whole life for judo too. We've both traveled the world with our sport, and we're not in any way, shape or form scared of a change. So we thought, you know what, let's give our little son, Tiago, the best life that he possibly can. Let's have him running around with no shoes on. Let's have him being like a mini Tarzan. Let's just do it. And then I've said I'll do it on one condition. If I can take my mom and dad, please, because I cannot handle this without them. So they're coming along, They moved from
amazing.
They moved from Brazil to here. They're not scared of a big change either. They work hard. My dad is such a grafter. So we're gonna pack up and restart everything.
That's incredible. I hadn't realised your whole family was going.
No, it's whole family. Our dog is going as well.
Oh my goodness. Now, I've observed on your socials that your mum and dad are very supportive of your journey. Could you have done any of this without them?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Nothing really. Going back to even sticking at judo. They were the ones that were like, when I said, oh, I can't be bothered, teenagers, when they can't be asked, and we're like, well, you don't have a choice. Borderline, I don't know if it was forceful or not. However, now that I'm 32, I am very glad that when I was 16, my mum said, you don't have a choice, you're going to judo. Yeah. So, a lot of parents nowadays say, oh, I don't want to force my kids into this. I don't want them to end up hating the sport because I'm making them come. All I can say is that from my experience, at one point I hated it. I didn't want to do it as a kid. And my mum was like, absolutely not. You are doing it. It's as simple as that. Yeah. And now I am very, very glad and grateful that she made me stick with it. So,
Good.
I I do like that.
I'm going to be taking some tips from your mum, Julia. I'm a mum of a teenager and slightly younger. But yeah, for me, it's about them having that kind of community, building the resilience, not just the physical strength, but just meeting up with friends and what jiu-jitsu can do for them as they're kind of growing up through their teenage years. Mainly maybe so they're not kind of hanging out on the streets, they've got something kind of proactive to do. But I feel it's right and good that we all encourage our children, whatever age, to stick at some of these things, because if we're let off the hook too easily, that then potentially creates an opportunity for I don't know, that it's okay to give up easily. And it sounds like you've got the most out of not giving up throughout all of your journey.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, like I teach kids at our club. And I've had a lot of conversations with parents where they sometimes say, oh, I'm not sure what's going on with my kid at the minute. They don't really want to come. They really enjoyed it in the past for the last year, but now they are saying that they don't want to come, etc. And, I struggle with that, but now I'm a parent and I know how I'm going to handle those situations.
Yeah.
But I also am an extremely open-minded person. I don't think I am in no shoes to ever say, you should do X, Z, and Y. I can just say what I am thankful for, that what my parents have done. And my mum and dad are reasonably old school. My mum's very old school. And when I was growing up, she was very old school. I've seen the slippers marks on my bum a couple of times, and we've been through that. But she did. She told me, you don't have a choice. You do your education and you do your sport, and it's as simple as that. You don't have, those are non-negotiables. And I probably shouted at her a few times, oh, I hate you, Mum. But now that I am 32 and my life has changed drastically because of the sport that I've been involved in my whole life, I'm very grateful that she said, no, you are sticking with it. You're going to see it through. And when you're an adult and you can make decisions for yourself, you can decide if you want to stick to it or not, And it just showed me as well, like, in life, things aren't going to be straightforward. And a lot of people tend to, and myself included, I am guilty of that as well. When things start to get a little bit tough, a little bit harder, you kind of just go, let me just step away from it a little bit. But because, I've always got that thing with that my mum in my head going, these are non-negotiables, you just have to do them. I kind of push through things that are a little bit hard. You just push through them, and you just like, it's just a hard 2 months, 3 months, and then it's going to be easier again. So, I do, but in terms of Tiago, him growing up, fighting for me is going to be a non-negotiable. Whether he goes to compete or not, I don't care. But I want him to know how to protect himself. That's so important for me nowadays, this day and age. He needs to know how to protect himself. If anything happens to him, I need to be confident that he knows how to be alert for certain situations. And should he ever be in a sticky situation, he can get himself out of it. I want him to grow up being a resilient person. He's going to get choked, and he's going to have to tap, and he's going to lose, and someone's going to get the better out of him. And, he's got to learn those aspects of life because out there, that's what happens, And I think the confidence that fighting gives you as well, because you're put in such an uncomfortable situation all the time when you're fighting. When you step into the real world, nothing is as bad. There's no one physically trying to choke you. Well, most shouldn't be. So any other situation is okay. You can deal with it. You can face it head on. So in that aspect of things with my own son, I will say to him, listen, fighting is non-negotiable, mate. That's an hour of your day. You are going, you're going to do some striking, you're going to do some grappling, and it's an hour of your day. The rest of however many hours, these are negotiables. That's your non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Whether it's good
That
parenting or not, I don't know.
But
But
it's just, there is no handbook, there is no manual. We all just have to do the best we possibly can in that specific moment and
yeah,
learn as we go along. And I think with having parents as yourself and Owen, yeah, Tiago has no choice apart from to fight. There is kind of one direction for him to be inspired by. How I've seen some recent things on Instagram, and I know Elisabeth Clay has gone back to competing 3 months after giving birth to her son, and I love the fact that you are congratulating her, and equally kind of raising the point that we're all individual, we all have our own journeys, and we're all there to make a decision about ourselves, and kind of to put that judgment and comparison aside, especially when it comes to having children. As some of us are able to, or have done, or are planning to. How has your journey been through pregnancy and having Tiago and getting back to competition?
do you know what? I did not enjoy my pregnancy at all. I didn't have a good time being pregnant. I've been an athlete since I was 8 years old. I've been
Yeah,
aware of my body since I was 8 years old. It's
yeah,
a weight making sport. It's a sport that you need to be physically very strong. So the awareness of your own body from such a young age is
yeah,
real. Okay, so for me, when I first fell pregnant, I found out that I was pregnant reasonably early because I saw my body changes. It
yeah,
wasn't through a test, it wasn't anything like that. I just thought there's something different here,
yeah,
and it just goes to show how aware we are of our own bodies when you are
yeah,
so involved in sport.
yeah,
So I was excited when I found out that I was pregnant, but I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified of every stage of it, of the pregnancy, of when the baby arrived, of then having a baby for the rest of your life, having
yeah,
a kid. So I didn't enjoy pregnancy. I didn't enjoy my body changes. I didn't enjoy the lack of ability that I had to do basic things that before were basic things. So
yeah,
my lack of ability to do those basic things, I didn't enjoy it. Um, and I really struggled with the whole, oh, but don't you love feeling him kicking, or don't you love this? Like, I didn't enjoy
mm,
it was forced upon me so much to feel so happy,
yeah,
and I didn't feel so happy. And I kind of thought, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I've got a
yeah,
blessing, and
yeah,
inside, I just don't feel happy, And I
yeah,
felt selfish, and I felt like a really bad person. And I think the only person that I really talked about it a lot was my mum, because your mum knows you better than anyone else in this entire world, and there
yeah,
was nothing that I could say to her that she would take it the wrong way, because she knew me. She knew me
yeah,
um, really well. So then I could say to her, I could say, Mum, I don't like this.
yeah,
I hate all of it, and not felt judged.
yeah,
So for me, and then you have your post pregnancy. Like, I did it. We had him in 2021, so COVID was kind of still a thing. So I had to
yeah.
spend 2 nights at the hospital. I had an emergency operation, so I had to stay 2 nights at the hospital.
And it's really interesting, actually, that you relate to knowing your body so well from a young age, and then having something that's completely changed that you can't control, that's growing inside of you. And there are lots of things that pregnant women experience throughout pregnancy. Um, but I just kind of want to relate that if you don't have that full awareness of your body, actually you might have a different experience. And that's quite an interesting thing as well. But kind of being in sport, knowing how your muscles work, how your joints kind of work and the movements and how you're feeling inside. I love the fact that you are so connected, and that you had that awareness, but also sad and want to kind of hold space that you felt like, not quite so happy during your pregnancy, because there is this myth, like you share, that everyone's happy and it's all going well, but actually that's what we see on social media and in the press and everything else. But the reality is often not spoken about. That it is really hard emotionally, physically, but on the flip side, again, it's to be grateful that we are nurturing a new human.
Yeah, and I think feeling bad about being pregnant doesn't take it away the fact that you are happy that you're pregnant. We
Yeah,
can't mix the
yeah,
two,
yeah,
and I was happy I was having a child.
yeah,
I'm having a family. I've always wanted to have a family. I am with the person who I love and who supports me. So of course I want a child. I think often people might get it confused.
yeah,
Oh, she is unhappy about having a baby. Which
yeah,
if someone is unhappy about having a baby, that is also fine, because we're
yeah,
all in different journeys of our life. That is also fine.
yeah,
What I mean is, I just wasn't happy about the changes that were happening to
yeah,
me,
yeah,
to my mind, to my body. I was happy that I was having a baby,
yeah,
So those are two things that I think
yeah.
often they get misunderstood.
I took it that just the changes in your body, because it's something you can't control. You can't then have a routine or a schedule for, whether you're waking up in the middle of the night needing to go to the toilet because baby is in that position, or whether you're not able to sleep because it's uncomfortable, and that, like you say, is very different from being happy about being pregnant or not. It's the physical and emotional and mental changes that kind of happen. So you talked about having a C-section to give birth to Tiago. How did that kind of work for you? Was that something in your plan, or was that a kind of last minute something?
No, it was very last minute. I wanted to kind of go in, have a natural birth. He just didn't want to get out. I wasn't getting
Yeah,
dilated at all. I was in so much pain, God.
yeah,
But I just wasn't dilating at all. I decided to have an epidural because there was no progression, but the
yeah.
pain was insane. No one tells you about
Mm.
that as well, do they?
Oh,
So luckily, the epidural kicked in, and then all of the light, the beeping things started to go crazy, and then all of a sudden there's so many people in the room, and everything must have happened within 5 minutes. They were cutting
yeah.
me open because
Wow.
his umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck, so he was dying. So it was very lucky that I took the epidural when I did, because there was
Yeah,
no delays in getting him out. So when the beeping thing started to go, I was in theatre. Honestly, it must have been about 4 minutes. The
yeah,
whole thing happened, and I was cut open, and he was out. So
yeah,
it went through the nurse saying, "Julie, I think this is going to be a really, really, really long birth because you're not progressing at all, and you've been here for a full day already."
yeah,
Two, he was out within 4 minutes.
yeah,
So it was a reasonably sloppy C-section. It was like, get him out quick. We need to
yeah,
go. But it is what it is, and he's fine and he's
yeah.
healthy. I'm fine and I'm healthy.
Good.
Recovering from a C-section is not a joke.
Yep, I've had
Recovering,
two of them. I know exactly what you're talking about.
and looking after a baby at the same time.
Yes,
What the
yes.
fuck? Um, so it's hard. I
Yeah,
can't I can't compare it to a natural birth. I do have friends who have had natural births, and
yeah,
they they've got different experiences to me and how they went back to their sport, etc. But I don't know what that feels like. I don't know the ins and outs of it. But returning to fighting after a C-section was hard. It was it was tough.
How long did the recovery take for you? Because one of the things that I wasn't aware of until I had my first C-section, an emergency C-section with my son, who's now 13, that there was a top layer of stitches, but there are also kind of 5 layers of stitches underneath that. So it's one of the biggest operations that any woman can undertake. And it takes a while, months, to kind of heal back from that significant operation, whether you're healthy or well, or whether you end up with infections and various other things. But how was that kind of progress for you, with Owen being around, with your family being around? How did all of that contribute to you getting back to competition?
I think I went back even to training too early, you know. I had a really good strength and conditioning coach that I use here. His gym is called The Edge, and he's absolutely amazing. He's so knowledgeable. It's insane. So I had his help with the rehabbing of my pelvic floor, etc. So he was crucial, but I still went back to competing too early. You know, I went back, I think I was 5 months postpartum. And I can just say, you know, I was just weak. That area was just weaker. And when you're fighting, your core is so important. It's probably the most important part of your body. So I struggled with it for some time, but I thought, you know what? Ignore it. Sometimes when I felt that pain, sometimes my stitches open at one point when I was training, and I was kind of like, it's fine. It's no biggie. But, you know, I kind of like that happened and made me a little bit tougher. I don't know. In my head, I've made everything that I've done okay. So I went back to competing 5 months later. Did I recommend that? Absolutely not. Did I make the right decision going back this early? For myself and for me, I don't regret doing any of the stuff that I've done. I don't regret it. So it's one of those ones. I don't regret it at all. It was quite early.
It's thank you for sharing, because I think you know, birth stories amongst us women are quite some can be traumatic, can be very easy, but we're all on an individual journey, whether it's with our Brazilian Jiu Jitsu or whether it's with giving birth and having a family, and I think, you know, there's a lot to be said for having the peace of mind that whatever decision you make going forwards is the right decision for you at that time, which I think is really important. What is coming up for you? Because obviously you're heading off to Thailand. What are you going to be doing out there, apart from having your whole family training Brazilian Jiu Jitsu?
You know what? It's a box of surprises. I'm going out there clean slate. I am joining a super good gym. Owen's going to be coaching at one of the top gyms in Thailand, and I have aspirations and what I want to do and what I want to build. But I like to be a little bit quiet about those things that I want to build and grow and stuff, because I don't want to rush myself into anything, you know. I want to build a good community, that like the community that I've got here. You know, I want to build something like that. I want to create my own space again. I want to try and compete again. You know, I don't know what down in that area what the competitions are like. Like here, I've done Polaris. I've done some of the big events here. I've done Enyo. So I'd quite like to see what's their version of all of that stuff there, and see if I still got it in me, if I still got that scrappy fighter that I've always had. I think I do. So
I think you do, and I think the rest of my listeners think you do. So we are avidly watching your journey. We are very excited.
We're giving ourselves time for once. Good. If there's one thing that I've learned, is one step at the time. and give myself the best chance of doing things well, rather than being so desperate and obsessed with achieving.
Yeah. That's a really good philosophy. And I also like the fact that you're going to be keeping some of the things under wraps. You know, for me, I will share what I'm doing when I've done it. So actually, there's no expectation, there's nothing else. I'm saying what I've done and I've actually done it. So kind of following through with that pattern of behavior that is, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do, and that's where I stand, so that it feels kind of solid and kind of supportive. Are your mum and dad excited about going out to live in Thailand as well?
They really are. I think that they just, they're going back to a hot place, which is where they've come from in Brazil. So they're just super excited about that, to be fair. And
So good.
we're counting on the days now.
So good. And what will you be taking with you that you may not be able to get in Thailand, or what will you be getting shipped over?
Honestly, we are all taking one 32-kilo bag.
Wow.
We are, obviously our dog is coming with us. She's getting shipped over, but baby's home. But we are not taking anything, nothing materialistic. We're taking clothes.
Yeah.
And we're just going to start over again with everything.
Wow.
We're just us.
That's so good. That's so good. I wish you the absolute best of luck. How can people follow your journey and see your progression to Thailand and what exciting things are going to be coming up?
Probably just on Instagram. My Instagram is a bit messy. It's, if you want to see cute things, don't go on there. But it's just Judo.Livesey. My daily struggles are all on there. So, yeah.
I think you really show up honestly and with so much integrity, Julia. I really respect your journey. And like I say, you were one of the inspirational women for me in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So I will be seeking out some of your Judo for BJJ camps at some point very soon, because have gi, have no gi, will travel, maybe even to Thailand, who knows?
Yes, please. Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. I will allow you to continue back to your family and get yourself ready for Thailand.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on, and thank you for your lovely words. It means a lot.
You're very welcome. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for telling your friends about this show, and as soon as this episode ends, I really appreciate you dropping the show a rating and a review. Thanks again for listening. Catch you on the next episode of the Jiu Jitsu Lou podcast.